Welcome back to another video on the GT500. So I just disconnected the battery and reconnected it because I want to demonstrate something to you guys. All right, let's check it out. See that? Tap the accelerator. Seems to be acting pretty normal. It's obviously super cold out. It's like 30 degrees out right now. Just let it warm up a little bit and see what she looks like. Alright, so it's been a little bit and she's starting to come down and idle and everything. It's just, again, cold start. But I also wanted to point out spark right here. 17, 15, 14. Kind of doing its thing right there. So what all this has to do with, car's fixed. It's good to go. No more issues with super high idle cold starts with the battery disconnected and all that, and she's good. So let me go ahead and show you guys what I learned. So what I wound up learning, I'm going to go over a couple of things with you guys in this video, but the main thing, there was an issue with the tune. So it's kind of weird because of how obscure this issue is, and I'll explain what kind of went into it. Basically what happened was, so I had the issue you saw last video, the header started glowing, and yeah, not good. So I contacted my tuner. I was like, hey man, I need your help to try and diagnose this. So I did the vacuum leak checks, everything like that checked out, smoke checked it, everything like that checked out. Couldn't figure out what it was on my own, so I contacted my tuner. So I was like, hey man, there's a problem and I need your help with it. Basically, I like explained the issues that it was having, the idle, the spark, and he wasn't really sure what it was off the bat because all the data logs we've done after the car's been warmed up and everything, it was fine. It was just that initial cold start when the battery got disconnected and reset the cam, essentially, to keep alive memory. So what it wound up being is the idle air control modifier. It's a value somewhere in the tune. I'm not a professional at this by any means. Was just off, just a tiny bit. So once the car learned where it was supposed to be at in idling, it was fine. If I did the cam reset while it was warm, it affected something just enough to make it mask it, no issues. But when it was cold, it would be terrible. The header was glowing because in that state, the car was trying to bring down idle and couldn't figure out how to do it by shutting the throttle body enough. It thought it was where it's supposed to be and it wasn't. And basically, one of the ways it was trying to bring the idle down was by lowering spark. So it would bring it down to 5 degrees, which with the stock cams probably would be fine. With the overlap in these cams and everything, basically it was still combusting with the valve slightly open, and it was shooting out basically exhaust gases, so you get your glowing header. But looking at it right now, we got our idle coming down slowly. It's still, like I said, super cold out, so I'm letting things warm up a little bit, but yeah, I mean, throttle acts normal. I drove it into work the other day and came back, and it even feels better than it did before, which is saying something because it felt pretty good before. Watt tuning, nothing needed to get messed around with there or anything like that, but yeah, she's good to go. So pretty wild. Spent an additional 2 hours of his time basically with me in the car data logging, and kind of, I wouldn't say on a whim, but he decided to look at that particular parameter. It wasn't originally being data logged, so we wouldn't have seen it even if we were looking for this particular issue originally. And sure enough, so I'm talking when it's off, it was off by probably about 0.05. Whatever that full number is, that's how much it was off by. So it was just enough to cause issues. But yeah, so that was really the major last issue that was like bothering me. I look at the car being like finished or good to go when I feel comfortable. If I wanted to sell it tomorrow, I'll be comfortable telling the new buyer, hey, this is the car, there's no issues with it, you can run, it drives, no problems, you can do whatever you want to it, have at it, have fun. For me, that's when I think the car is done. So up until this point, I have not felt like that, and mentally, it's not been done to me. There's been issues I was chasing. The bypass, sure, but mainly that high idle thing was driving me crazy. So I wanted to give you guys an update and kind of explain what was going on. And before, let me show you what it's doing now. So she's idling just a hair under 900, which is where we want it. And before, it would hang about I'd say about 1200 RPM, so up another 200 RPM. And if I touch the throttle like this, it would just go straight up and hang. It would not come back down. See how it's still learning a little bit? So it's still super cold, but it'll sort itself out in a minute and it should be fine. So what this comes down to, in my opinion, is the interesting. So actually what you can see us doing right now is still kind of hovering a little bit. So this is basically because it hasn't done any learning whatsoever. It'll come down. But yeah, so it's basically, it's going to be a little bit weird until it kind of learns how to drive again normal, whenever you do the cam reset or stuff. But it's not at freaking no spark. So see how the spark dropped again to try and lower idle? That's what it was doing, except really bad. See, it's kind of going back to normal now. So it's got to go through its little idle relearn and everything, and it'll be fine. But yeah, so I just kind of wanted to show you guys what was going on. So it's still touchy, but you know, it's fine now. So the big deal with what was going on, again, like I said, I think the reasoning behind a lot of these problems have come down to using a monoblade throttle body. It's got such a huge surface area. With a twin blade, you have two small circles. When they open up, it's a lot less surface area. When the monoblade opens up, it just cracks a little bit, lets a massive amount of air in, and you get issues. So huge shout out to BJ at Venomous for getting me dialed in and getting the car feeling great. No more issues. It's acting pretty much normal. All right, so I went ahead just to kind of speed things up again, did the cam reset just to see if it helped, and comes right back down. So something about, I really think it's the throttle body being goofy. Something about it just, I think it just speeds up that learning process once it's warm. It doesn't have to like try and sort through all the parameters. Who knows, but it feels good. The big win for me is just basically being able to work on the car, disconnect what I need to disconnect, turn it back on, and not have it want to like commit timing suicide by burning something after it's been fixed, or after I've done something and had to disconnect the battery. Very frustrating. So she seems to be good now though. Once again, I wouldn't have go ahead and just double check, like everything seems great, no issues. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I'm very happy with how everything turned out. And then once again, he totally could have charged me to go back and be like, hey man, I would like this extra time. Could have charged for 2 hours worth of labor. He didn't. He was nice enough to just sit there and go through the issues with me. And it's hard to explain to someone. I think this is the main shortfall of remote tuning. For the most part, it's great, but if you do have obscure issues, trying to find the right language to communicate that problem in a clear and concise manner for the other person to understand what's going on is really something you need to work on. So if you're just like, hey, my car sounds weird, okay, why does it sound weird? How does it sound weird? What do you do when it happens? What affects it? Like, trying to find all those sources is how you kind of remote troubleshoot, essentially. So that's pretty much where I'm at with everything. It feels good. Like I said, drove the car around, feels great. Throttle response, great, no issues. And yeah, pretty much good. So one thing he did say is try not to keep it on the extra lopey tune, just because he thinks it doesn't evacuate heat as well out of the cylinders with the lower RPM, which makes sense. So for the most part, I'll probably keep it on the this fixed tune. And if we really want to mess around, wait until the car warms up, I might switch it back and forth, but we'll just keep that between us. Not likely though. Everything seems very happy. Like, air fuel ratios in this tune are much happier and everything else. So yeah, pretty much it. So like I was saying, thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Let's listen to nice chop chop sounds, because that'll be a future video. About good stuff. Yeah, there you have it. Alrighty guys, hope you enjoyed that update, and that's going to do it for today's video. Leave a comment down below if you have any thoughts or questions, and I'll try to get back to you. But other than that, I mean, the car is good to go. So thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you in the next one.